Hi everyone, so in today's video I'm going to speak about adding and subtracting mixed numbers. So I'm going to present two methods. So first method, so we've got method 1 over here. So first thing, just a little reminder in case you forgot, we've got a mixed number is a whole number and a fraction. So I've got 2 and 2/3, that's a mixed number. So we've got 2 is the whole and 2/3 is the fraction. And I'm just going to do adding and subtracting. So I'm gonna do this one, add 3 wholes and 4/5. So this is what I am going to do. Now every single time you have something like this, the first method that I want to present has to do with I'm looking at the whole numbers separately and then the fractions. So I'm looking at the whole numbers first and then the 2 fractions. So because of this, I am going to I'm going to add the 2 whole numbers together. So I've got 2 plus 3, that gives me 5. And then I'm just going to copy the 2 fractions I have, putting the plus sign in between. So I've got 2/3 plus 4/5. And what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to add these 2 fractions together. So I'm going to put it on the side over here. So we've got 2/3 plus 4/5. So remember when I've done this in a previous video, I need the lowest common multiple of these 2. So the lowest common multiple of 3 and 5, that's 15. So I need to multiply this by 5 and this by 3. So I've got 2 times 5, that is 10/15 plus 12/15. So I've got this, I'm adding these 2 up, so that gives me 22/15. And now what I want to do, because this is a top heavy, I want to change this one from a top heavy to a mixed fraction, so or a mixed number. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to think how many 15s go into 22, and that's 1. So I've got 1 and the remainder is 7/15. So I've got 2/3 plus 4/5 here. So I looked at these 2 now, and this gave me 1 and 7/15. So I've got 5 plus 1 and 7/15, which in the end gives me 6 and 7/15. So again, just wanted to make sure I've looked at the whole numbers first, and then I've looked at the 2 fractions. I've actually done this separately over here. So this whole bit is from all of this, but you don't have to do it separately. I could have done it like under here, and that is fine. So this is what I've done. Now I want to very quickly go over the steps that I've used for this one, because I think it's really important that we understand specifically the steps for this. So I've got steps, and the first thing I've done is I looked at the whole number. So that was the first thing. So I looked at whole numbers. And then the second step, I've looked at the denominator. So I've done the lowest common multiple. The third step is I actually, after the lowest common multiple, due to that I found the common denominator, so I'm actually gonna mention it separately, even though it's very related to the lowest common multiple. So common denominator. And then I've actually, because this is adding, I've added the fractions, and then the last bit is I simplified. And you have to be very careful with simplify, because sometimes means you have to actually just simplify the fraction and find an equivalent fraction, or sometimes, like in our case, I had to actually find the mixed number again, add it back in, and I've got it fully simplified, and I can't do anything else. So it follows exactly the same way if I have a subtraction. So I'm not going to do another example with subtraction because it's basically exactly the same method. What I want to do is I want to show you another method where you can add and subtract mixed numbers, and yeah, you can decide which one you find more easy for you, or the one that like helps you understand it a bit better. So the whole idea, I think, is for you to feel comfortable with what you're doing and understand the whole process, because a method is especially at the start, is going to be easier for you if you actually understand what you're doing. So if you really don't understand what's happening, then it's not the right method for you. Obviously, you have to put some effort in it, so don't just assume that if you don't understand it from the start, then that's done. But you understand what I mean. So I'm going to use exactly the same example, so I don't want to come up with another one, so I can show you the difference between the two methods. Okay, so this method, instead of looking at the whole numbers first, is actually going to change the mixed number to a top heavy. So remember how to do that. You do 2 times 3 plus 2. So I'm gonna do it slowly for the first one. And then this one, it's pretty straightforward. 3 times 5, that is 15, plus 4, that's 19 over 5. So 2 times 3, that's 6, plus 2, that is 8. So this is what we got right now. And at this point, this becomes just your basic adding fractions. So I need the lowest common multiple, which in my case is 15. Common denominator is 15, so I need to multiply these ones. Now, the only issue that will appear in this case is actually multiplying in this step, because the numbers could be quite big and you might need to be a little bit more careful than with what I've done in method 1. So 4 times 5, that's 40. Plus, and now this is the 19 times 3. If you can't do it straight away, you can just actually do it on the side. There's no shame to be here. Oh, I forgot to put the actual common denominator here, so that's a 15, not 3 anymore. So, and now we're just adding the numbers. And now here is another place where I think it could become a little bit more hard. You have to figure out if I can simplify this one. So can I divide 97 by 305? No. So that's pretty straightforward. But 97 over 15 is a top heavy, so I need to actually make it into a mixed number. And this is where I need to be a bit more careful and be very confident with my times tables and division in general. So I need to think how many 15s go into 97. the way I personally go over this is I know 2 15s make a 30, and then I know that 3 30s make a 90. So I'm gonna write it down. So I know 2 15s make a 30, and I know that 3 30s make a 90. So I'm looking at the 2 and the 3, and I know that's gonna make 6 15s are gonna make a 90. So that's how I put the 6 in front, and then I am actually going with the remainder, which is 7 over 15, and of course I go exactly the same answer as in the previous method, so there's absolutely shouldn't be any surprise, to be fair, here. So yeah, just to make this one more obvious, so I've got this for the 57 on the top. Absolutely no shame to put all of this working on the side, because I think it's important for you to write what is happening in your head, basically, because we can't read minds, and I wish we could sometimes, but we can't. So I'm gonna put the steps on the side exactly like I've done with the one above. So they're, oh, can't open this, managed. They're pretty similar, the steps. If we take a look at these ones, the only difference is gonna be like the one on the top. Obviously we don't have a whole number anymore, we are gonna change to a top heavy. And then step number 2, again, lowest common multiple. Step number 3, it's a common denominator. Step number 4 is, again, we're adding. And step number 5 is simplify. So it follows the same idea. The only bit is the start. I'm starting a bit differently, and because of that you have to be a bit more careful, because you could have some different calculations, some harder multiplications and stuff like that, but it does basically follow exactly the same idea. Wish I could open these ones a bit more easier. Ha. Yeah, so this is the only step. So the first step in both of these ones is the one that's a bit different, but then the rest are exactly the same. So I'm actually quite curious to know which method do you personally like using with these ones? Do you use the first method, or do you actually use the second method? I am really curious to see which one you use, or if this is the first time you're seeing this, which one do you actually prefer when it comes to this? So yeah, and again, I forgot to mention, but this is exactly the same thing for subtraction. The only different step is going to be here. So I'm actually going to put here, you're going to have to subtract if you have to subtract anything, and that's the same here, you're going to have to subtract. So it's exactly the same idea, that's the only difference. Yeah, so hopefully you found this useful, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.